Hello and welcome to Connect to Love here on PRN-FM, where each week we focus on love, connection, and the beauty of the human spirit. I'm Lisa LaRose, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Michael J. Russ. How are you today, Michael?
I'm awesome. Always amazing. Always amazed.
That's a beautiful way to be. I think there's magic in every moment. All we need to do is open our eyes and just sort of see those magic and miracles all around us. You had sent me something by Dr. Zach Bush. He was on Next Level Soul, and that's exactly what he said. He said, we are absolute miracles. He said, you can figure out so many different things, but really, when it comes down to it, science can't really explain how the cells work and how everything in the body functions, other than the fact that it's a miracle. And you are a miracle. I'm a miracle. Our audience members are miracles. It's a great way to start the day.
I agree, 110%. You know, if we're coloring the palette of our lives, we're splashing it with bright colors first thing in the morning. You know, lively, beautiful, vibrant, high-frequency colors. And that's really, you know, it's our choice. I don't know, I just thought of that analogy of colors in the morning. Are we seeing dark colors like browns and blacks and grays? Are we seeing something, you know, creating these beautiful canvases in the morning when we wake up, seeing beautiful, vibrant colors that match these awesome frequencies of love and kindness and happiness and joy.
Oh, it's so true, so true. And right before the show, I had sent Michael some photographs of a beautiful sand mandala. I had the opportunity to travel to Lilydale, New York, for the opening ceremony of the season, and every year they host the Tibetan monks from the Drepung Losling Monastery, and is something that I do for myself. It's so soul-nurturing to hear the monks chant and say their prayers and open the season. One of the things that they say about the Tibetan monks when they chant is that if a mountain could speak, it would be through the mouth of a Tibetan monk. So the opening ceremony, they have the creation of what they call a sand mandala, and that was the photographs that I sent to Michael. And it's interesting because the mandalas represent the world, and each mandala that they do are for different intentions. So if they feel that healing needs to be delivered, they will do the mandala for healing. Each part of it is set with intention and also prayer. And the monks, I had the opportunity to host them for a month, which was really a blessing. I was just a very rare opportunity. And then they came back for an additional week. So I sort of they taught me how to cook. They taught me how to do a lot of different things. But one of the things that I so appreciated about them was their sense of inner peace. They are so compassionate and so loving and so kind. It's just such a delight to be around them. So to create a sand mandala is a meditative and healing process. Tibetan monks trained for 7 years to be able to create this ancient art form, but it's more than just an intricate design. Every grain of sand to represent the aspects of human existence. So each color speaks to the language of compassion, wisdom, healing, and enlightenment. And to create the sand mandala, it's sort of a meditative process. It begins with them drawing out an intricate outline on a flat surface. And each line is done with intention. It has to be very, very specific. It's really, for them, it's a blueprint of the divine. And what is so interesting is they use these very specialized tools called chalk purs, and they place the colored sand grain by grain with incredible precision. And every movement is a prayer. The chalk pur has these little ridges on it, and they rub, and it releases each grain of sand in a precise line. And with each moment that they're releasing it, there is a blessing. So it's really amazing because as they create these delicate patterns, you see focus, patience, purpose, and not only that, they hold the intention for healing, not just for themselves, but for the entire world. It's absolutely incredibly beautiful. They layer color upon color, and then when the mandala is complete, when every color has found its place within the whole, it's dissolved. They do a ceremony where they take little brooms and they brush all the sand together in the middle, and they will take it and sweep it to a body of water and then release it, so all of those prayers go throughout the world. It's so beautiful because it reminds us that nothing lasts forever, not joy, not sorrow, not even the beauty. It teaches us impermanence, and I think it's all about the act of letting go. And in that act of letting go, we surrender. It's sort of as though it's a door to freedom. And when we move through our own lives, that was often filled with should have, could have, would have, the sand mandala invites us to remember that the only thing that matters is love. Because love is not found in holding on. Love is found when we show up, how we create, how we bless, and how we let go. And I think about that because of our lives. We think that certain things are meant to be the way that they are for always, and that things of beauty, whether it be the flowers in the garden, they're all impermanent. And I think the only thing that continues and that is not that way is, they say, love. Love continues on and on and on, well beyond our lifetime.
Right. True. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Your soul continues too, but I mean, I don't think they're talking about that in particular. But that is such a beautiful metaphor, I guess, for impermanence, and how beautiful. I guess when you told me about that, I was thinking about how it was created, the patience that it took, the love that was given to it, and the kindness that was shown to those people, I'm sure, that were around observing, and then the fact that when it's all over, you just, nothing's permanent, and you change, and they release it to the world, and you start all over again. And a lot of people would look at that and say, I put all this work into this in the 3D world sense. I put all this work into this. I designed it. Now I let it go, and it's disappeared. Now I can't find it anymore. I won't have it anymore. Is there some way that I can save this? And that's what we as humans have a tendency to want to do when whatever it is, in this case, the mandala, its relevance to us is no longer there in the moment. At least this is the way I kind of see it. Its relevance is for that moment, and then that moment changes. Would that be a good characterization?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Humans fight change. They want to give things up. We hoard things. We want to, we create something. We want to hold on to it forever. And obviously, that's not how nature is. The beautiful flowers. I wish I could keep some of these flowers that we have in the backyard, the gingers and the other things, forever. They're just so beautiful when you sit and look at them, how symmetrical they are, and how much of a miracle they are to even grow and look like that. But they're eventually going to wither away. Mm-hmm. And you just have to enjoy the heck out of them while you have them. I had a girlfriend who was Hawaiian, and she said no beautiful flower should ever go unpicked and enjoyed, in your hair.
I think that's part of the beautiful spirit of aloha, and I wrestle with it because sometimes I just like to leave them in the garden until they're ready to go away, but sometimes that's just how it is. I don't know. My mother used to always bring lilacs in the house, or peonies, and oh my goodness, the fragrances just fills the whole house. So I agree with you. That's the other thing. Yeah, the fragrance, the beauty of it is to be enjoyed. It's interesting because the one flower I don't pick are orchids. I have about nine orchids, and I have beautiful white phalaenopsis that are just gorgeous. You look at them and you go, wow, what a miracle of nature. A miracle of the universe. And they last for, the ones I have right now have lasted 6-7 months. They're in their 7th month of blossoming. Wow.
Yeah. They last that long.
Orchids are truly amazing. I love them. And you can't take a bad picture of an orchid. I actually think that they look a little bit like people or creatures. I mean, I see faces in orchids all the time.
That is
Maybe
so
that's
true.
just my
No, you're not the only one. No, our imaginations can run wild. They're so beautiful. They look like they actually want to take off and fly. Some of them, I know the Phalaenopsis do. There are other orchids I cannot grow here because of where I am, Cattleyas and such, which you probably see in the garden, the botanical garden. You can grow things in there because they have a specific kind of climate that they can maintain, regardless of what's going on outside. Like we got off on this because they're my sort of. These orchids are sort of my mandala. They're so beautiful, such character and body and resilience and just I say stick-to-itiveness. They just last, and I love that fact. I love that they last such a long time, and then one blossom goes away, and boom, there's another one that comes up within a couple of weeks. It's spectacular. So yeah, the mandalas are awesome. You sent me some pictures, and I'm always blown away by the not only the creativity. Now let me ask you a question. This is really interesting because this came to me. How do they intuit the design?
They're actually created based on sacred texts, so that's why they study for so long to be able to create them. And it depends on what type of mandala that they're going to create. There's a medicine Buddha for healing, and they're all different, and it just depends on what it is that they are being called to do. They will come into different individuals' homes and create smaller ones. When they came and they stayed in my home, they did a house blessing for me that was unbelievable. The culture is so rich, and their greatest gift that they possess is their smile, and they just radiate so much love and so much peace and so much kindness. And I think that the Dalai Lama had been asked about that. Did he have any anger towards the Chinese for what they did when they came in and destroyed the monasteries and basically ousted the Tibetans out of their country? And he said, before that happened, nobody knew about Tibet. And so there was a reason. Even he saw the grace in the reason, and that the teachings had to come forth. And I think that it's a really great reminder and sort of about the topic that we wanted to speak about today, because you actively practice gratitude for what you have in the present moment. That's what the Tibetan monks teach. And although we may have lessons and challenges that shape us, it's that gratitude that allows us to shift our focus from what's missing or what went wrong to something of abundance and opportunities that still exist and are open to us. And I think that the monks practice gratitude with an open heart. When you see them, I went up to them after they do the opening ceremony with the chanting, and then they start creating the mandala. They allow people to come in and we'll sort of walk around and view what's going on, but they're very engrossed in the prayers and the consciousness of what they are creating. So they just emanate this positive energy and foster such a loving connection. They will stop and they, of course, they bring different things to sell, and if somebody wanted a prayer said over their bracelets or whatever it was that they purchased, they would make the time to sort of step away and make sure that the person received whatever it was that they needed. It's really quite beautiful. I think it's something to be able to actively practice gratitude without any regrets or without any shoulda, coulda, woulda, which is what we were speaking about earlier this morning. Making a conscious choice that we are not defined by our past of what should have happened, what could have happened, or what would happen if they were still in Tibet. They're living in exile in India, and many of them, the Drepung, they have a monastery in Atlanta. And so the monks that come here, some of them speak English, some of them don't, but they're really, really, really amazing souls to be around, very authentic and truly fostering just that loving kindness and compassion that you hear the Dalai Lama speak about so often.
It's interesting to see how to be around someone who's not caught up in the 3D world of the drama and the lower frequencies. That's the takeaway for me. They spend so much time in higher frequencies and perpetuating higher frequencies and being and embodying higher frequencies that they don't see life and the things that occur within it in the same way that a lot of people do. It's interesting because I have a buddy that lives in Cambodia in Siem Reap, and they're in Siem Reap as well. He's been to several. He has a monk that is a good friend of his, and as a matter of fact, it was an Indian doctor who gave him, I think it was 12 different principles that came from Buddhism that helped him after he got out of the military in Iraq and all that, helped him get his head back together. And it was because he was looking outside of himself for the answers when he had to go inside of himself for the answers. And once he did that and he understood, it was a 180-degree change for him. And there was an understanding that he was the one who was creating the turmoil in his life. He was the one that was creating everything. And once he realized that, he had gained an awareness of that, he began to shift. And he lives in Siem Reap probably about 8, 9 months out of the year, and then comes here and travels from here, sees his family and travels. And he loves it there. And he loves how kind people are. It's not just the monks. It's like a whole, it's in the air. I guess that's the best way to put it. It's in the air. Mm-hmm. It's wafting in the air. The kindness, the love, the joy, the way that you see things differently. You see everything as an opportunity, everything as there's a lesson in everything. And it's not what you think. For him, and he plays a lot of golf like me. He plays about 3 times a week. And I've gotten together with him and helped him apply what he was applying in his life to this golf game. And his golf game has exploded as a result. And he's a much different person on the course than he was just a year ago, as he says. And I look forward to playing with him sometime when he comes back. But we have to have a willingness to embrace the unknown, as we talk about on the show a lot. We have to embrace change, transformation. Not even as I heard the other day in Cyril Landon's audiobook. Even a butterfly comes out of a cocoon and doesn't look back at the cocoon and say, "What is that? I wish I could go back in there." It progresses. There's a progression of life, and it flies. And sometimes, as monarchs do, they migrate thousands and thousands of miles, which I find absolutely stellarly amazing.
Oh,
I'm just blown away.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to do that.
Yeah,
I'd love to go see the monarchs.
Yeah, I've seen the monarchs at John Muir in San Francisco, just thousands of them, and it's a sight to behold. The lesson, of course, for us is to not hold on to the past, to keep moving forward, keep progressing, keep expanding, keep embracing, keep moving forward with love and joy and kindness and happiness, empathy, compassion, all these higher frequencies, even enlightenment. It's interesting how some people, and I know a few, I'm acquainted with a few, I should say. I don't spend a lot of time with them, but who don't necessarily want to move forward. They're in that if I coulda, woulda, shoulda. They're paralyzed by it. In fact, if I had only done this, I wouldn't be here. If I'd only made this move versus that move, if I hadn't lost that money there or spent that money here, I'd have it now. And all this stuff, right? Every day we learn things. We learn new things. And every day, from every situation that we encounter, that we're exposed to, in my book, Zero Adversity, I used to call things direct and indirect events. Indirect events are generally about, if I had to put a figure on it, about 85% of your life is indirect events. Those are the things you expose yourself to. They don't happen to you. They're happening to somebody else. They're not part of your consciousness. They're part of somebody else's soul experience, okay? Yet, we find ourselves getting involved in other people's soul experience and dedicating energy to them instead of dedicating energy to our own soul experience so that we can elevate ourselves and thereby resonate the frequencies that help others and help the consciousness of the planet. It is the conundrum that I see every single day when people get caught up in these things, this thing that happened that isn't going to mean anything tomorrow, but today, oh my, I'm going to invest in this hook, line, and sinker. I'm going to put all my energy into this thing that really doesn't move them forward. It doesn't just seeing it a different way would move them forward. Adopting a different perception about it would move them forward. Yet it's, if I hadn't come here, I wouldn't have experienced this thing, and I didn't want to experience it. If I hadn't done that, I would do this, right? I'd be there by now. And you're supposed to be here. You're supposed to have done those things. You're supposed to have had that challenge in your life, because that challenge shifted you in a way that puts you on the path to your life's purpose. Yet you're lamenting about that thing because you didn't want to experience that thing. But that thing was the reason why you are where you are today. Yet you're saying, I wish I hadn't done that. None of that makes any sense. If you hadn't done that, it would have been something else. Because ultimately you were supposed to, life put signposts up, right? You have created, you incarnate into this physical body to experience something, to accomplish certain things, to elevate yourself in certain ways, to ascend to a new level, whatever it may be. And you have signposts that, events or people that are in your life play. You've written into your life play to help you when you have gotten off your path, way off your path. And in some cases, those are physical events. Some cases, those are a car accident. Sometimes it's a cosmic 2x4 of somebody passing away, or somebody saying something to you, or whatever it may be. Sometimes they're pretty heavy events that you're dealing with. And like Dylan, interestingly enough.
Right, absolutely.
Sometimes, it's like you come back to that same thing. It all ties together. There's a common thread through every one of our episodes. And it's kind of like that. What if Dylan, you don't find Dylan saying, I wish it hadn't happened. I wish I could have been somewhere else that day. I wish I hadn't gone to that bar. I wish I hadn't gone out to celebrate. Do you find him saying that? No.
No, he did not.
No. It's like it happened, and it was such a profound shift in a positive direction that he's incredibly grateful right now, internally grateful for it happening, because he needed that shift. Now let's call that a cosmic signpost, okay? A soul signpost that was supposed to happen in order to shift him away from where he was, which was way from his, off the course of his purpose here, which was music, right?
Right.
I just love thinking that way. To me, it's so much fun thinking that way. In terms of instead of you know what I'm talking about.
No, I completely agree with you, Michael, and it made me think about Wayne Dyer. When I went up to Lilydale, I had the opportunity to see Wayne Dyer speak. And I look at his journey where he started from erroneous zones and where he went in his books towards the end of his life. And I devoured so many of his books, but the one thing he always said was the past is over and the future is not here yet, and only in the present can you find peace. And he anchored that and he lived that. He had a lot of children and interrupted marriage. He ended up separating from his wife. And later on in his life, he ended up in hardship with an illness, but he never let it define him. He just kept moving forward and trying to inspire and live out his, as you would say, maybe his dharma, that he was really, it was important for him to teach people not to live in the shoulds, in the lower vibrational state, but instead elevate themselves and be mindful about what they think about. Because when we focus on the shoulds or the coulds or I wish that didn't happen, as you said with Dylan, and we focus on what we don't want or we didn't do, we do not create the world that we want to have for ourselves. So
right.
it's so important to think about that. And you and I listen to Abraham Hicks all the time, and we have this inner guidance system, and we have this knowingness. And I just had a session with a client this morning, and I said to her, what's right always feels good. I said, I don't care if your doctors tell you it or I tell you it, whatever it is, it has to feel good to you. And if it doesn't, then look for another doorway. Look for something else. And understand that whatever brought you to where you are in your health right now, it's not a mistake. It's guiding you closer to your right path. And there are no wrong choices from the higher perspective. And it's just a different path. And when I go out take my dogs out in the woods, I like to explore unexplored paths. And sometimes the one day I got lost, and I think the dogs were ready to kill me because we had an extra hour in our walk. But it was so amazing because I found a trail that I'd never been on before, and it completely led me right back to where I started. And I thought, oh my goodness. And I witnessed and I saw so many different things. And I think that it sort of serves as a metaphor that wherever we are in our journey, no matter what it is, trust in that perfection of your path. You will discover so many different things along that path.
Yeah, that's true. I thought of an analogy when you said that. That when we're let's say you're in a hallway, and at the end of the hallway are three doors: one on the left, one on the right, one in the middle. And we get taught, indoctrinated with the fact that we go forwards, always go forwards, never go left, never go right. We go forwards. We have a path. That's the goal, right? To get to the other side, to get to whatever it is. And you go down and you beat yourself senseless trying to get through the door, trying to figure out how to open that door, the one in front of you. You go back and you attempt to find a key. You attempt to pick the lock. You attempt to break it down. You attempt to do all these things that take up time and energy and everything else, when all you really needed to do was try the door on the left or the right, which were open, which would have taken you to the same place that you were looking to go. Right? We don't think to say, well, maybe this door might get me there. Maybe the idea isn't to go straight, but maybe to make a slight left, and then it'll get me to where, or even farther than I really desire to go. You know, that's really it. We've been taught to drive forward. We've been taught to, look outside of ourselves, to create this separation between us and a goal, us and happiness, us and joy, us and love. Right? I can't tell you how many times I have had women tell me, I can't find love. I wish I had somebody to love. I wish I had love in my life. And this is over the many decades. And I've always wondered, why are they telling me this? Why are they sharing this with me? When now I understand that more than ever, that all they had to do really was go inside. You don't look for love outside you. That will come when you have love within you. So you go in you. You go within to really treat yourself with the love and kindness and respect that you deserve. And then when you do that, automatically you will attract to you that which you desire, because that's what you're already resonating. That because you're never going to get something that you're not resonating. We've kind of figured that out. You're not going to get that thing outside of you that if it's not in you already. That is the serious conundrum. I don't know. I heard it again on
I'm curious, Michael. It'd be interesting to kind of go back and because I made me wonder if some of those women were waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect man, that they were, rather than allowing somebody else who may have had incredible gifts to come in, because they have in their mindset what they thought a relationship should look like, or the perfect man should look like.
Yeah, these are things taught to us by books and television, Hollywood. We and even our own parents teach us what it, perhaps insert what they think love is, what a relationship is. And it's interesting because you would say that. I can't say myself whether I've gone back and spoken with any of them or followed any of them. I've simply said that, that love that I impart the wisdom. I can't control them or get them to do anything that could better themselves. They have to choose it on their own. And I just know that for me, that's never been a problem. And I also know that you have to continue to treat yourself with love and kindness. You have to continue, even when you're in a relationship. You don't give up on that. You don't shift it to give it to somebody else and not to yourself, which is another problem that a lot of relationships have. People are not continuing to give themselves the love and the kindness and the respect and the peace and the harmony that within them. That they're not stoking that in themselves after they get together and they find what they consider to be their perfect mate.
Right.
And we've talked about relationships in the past. The worst thing, in my view, and it's not only my view, that anyone can do in a relationship is to give up themselves for the relationship. If you start doing that, then you become resentful at some point. Maybe not now, maybe in 40 years. You become resentful, and that's not the way to go through life. You go through life, without those negative feelings. So you make sure that you take care of you, and when you take care of you, then you'll meet people who also take care of themselves, and the joy will be there. If you're giving yourself joy, if you're emanating joy from within, and happiness and love, then you will attract that to you, and that's the only way to say it, I guess. That's the way it works. Now there are karmic circumstances. There are, there's healing that you're supposed to do while you're here. I know with me that was one of the reasons why I had relationships that I had, that there was some healing involved from past lives and other things that I'd done, some karmic circumstances. And once I satisfied those, I felt not only free, but felt just amazed at how far I could go. I just start working on myself, really more than anything else. So, just so our audience knows, I've been there too. Okay, it's like,
well, I think,
I was
going to say, Michael, I think part of what it is too is that you did the best with the awareness and the resources you had at that time. So when you are first starting out and you're in a relationship, your relationship when you're a 13-year-old is different than when you're an 18-year-old, different when you're 20, 25, 40, whatever it is. And as you learn from those, whatever mistakes there were, learned communication skills, gained new insights even into the things that you could do to create your own happiness. You did a lot of self-work. You didn't blame anybody because of something that didn't work out. You grew from it, and you accepted whatever circumstances that may have happened in life, which it does. I mean, you lost one of your girlfriends very early on unexpectedly to an illness that it just was sort of out of the blue. When you talk about a cosmic 2x4, right? You're going down one direction, and all of a sudden you get
Yeah, you think you've got certain things that are going to occur in life, and all of a sudden they get derailed by something that's completely and totally out of your control. And initially you feel powerless. However, at some particular point, you recover and understand, if you're continuing to elevate your awareness, that even that occurred for a reason. If I coulda, woulda, shoulda back on that. I just consider that as if she had lived, there would have been a different track for me in terms of my life. I would have been on a different path. The path that I went on since then was one of healing for not only me, but the people I was with. And I'm at the point right now where I would have loved to have been 40 years ago. I wasn't. However, I'm here now. So I'm not lamenting about 40 years ago. And if I'd have done this or done that, I'd have been that back then. No, that's not the way it works. There's wisdom that's gained over with every step you take. And the choices that you make every single day bring you that wisdom. And you weren't supposed to have it back then. You weren't supposed to have it 40 years ago, You weren't, because you needed to gain that wisdom over that period of time. I could be, honest in all honesty. There was a time back in my late teens, early 20s, where I wasn't comfortable being alone. Now, I recognize that then. Today, in the last 20 years, completely different. I'm comfortable being alone. I could be alone for days. I mean, it's not a big deal. I have no problem. I took so many vacations in my 20s by myself. I go to Hawaii by myself. I wouldn't look for somebody to go with me. I'd go by myself. I decided to go over there and live for 4 months by myself. And it's so much fun because you meet people. It's fun to travel by yourself because you get to know yourself better. Because you face different circumstances and you meet great people. If you're feeling good about yourself, you'll meet also great people who feel good about themselves. And life takes off and you have fun, right? The whole idea here is that for me and for us in this context of the show in terms of if I coulda, woulda, shoulda, is that those things you're saying if I coulda, woulda, shoulda about were supposed to happen because that really led you to where you are today. And even today, right now, you can make different choices. You're always making choices. So if you're in a relationship that's not healthy for you, you can leave it. You can make the choice to leave it but however, you have to be strong enough and loving of yourself to be able to make that choice, make that decision. This is as Pam Gregory keeps saying, this is a time of change. It's a time of transformation. It's a time where things are being revealed in your life that you didn't know existed. The things that are being revealed are giving you the opportunity to discover and discern whether you do or don't want those situations, circumstances, or people in your life. You can make a choice. But bottom line is, it starts with you. All change begins with you. It begins with your inside, you on the inside, not the outside. And we spend so much time attempting to manipulate and con and convince outside circumstances and people to give us what we want. But what we want, we're not giving ourselves that thing. I guess that's what I'm saying. You're not giving yourself that thing. You want love, but you're not giving yourself love. You want to be happy in life, but you're not really generating the happiness from within yourself. And the choices that you've made along the way, and then yet you're back lamenting about, if it was better back then. I wish I could be that, or I wish I hadn't made that decision because then I'd be in a different place and I wouldn't be dealing with this. Well, you're supposed to be dealing with this. This is going to make you a stronger person. Maybe this is why you're here. Yeah. Yep. Interesting way of coming at it.
No, truly, Michael. I think instead of dwelling a lot of times, we get on that mindset where, well, if I would have done that, I think about so many different things in my own life, but then I look back and I say, what did I learn from that experience, and how did the choices that I made, whether it was to walk away from something, contribute to who I am today? And I will tell you, I am very strong and very assured of what it is that brings me joy, and I really don't allow people to shake me from that. I'll stop people where before I was always very agreeable and whatever you want. Yep. No, I did not speak my truth, my third chakra, speaking my will. And I don't have a problem saying if somebody wants. I'm vegetarian. If people want to go to a sushi bar, that's not really the best choice for me. I'm happy to join you another night, and I'll go find dinner on my own. And it's not that I don't like their company. It's just that it's not a good food choice for me. I'm not fond of it. I know a lot of people really love it. It's just not one of my favorite foods. I went to Japan and couldn't wait to get an Italian meal and some Mexican food. I did enjoy tempura, but not so much, And I like
the tempura vegetable.
I like I like Thai food. I like other food.
Sushi. Vegetable sushi.
I'm not. It's the nori. I'm not fond of. It's too seafood, like fishy smelling for me.
No,
so I do get that. I do get that, but I'm happy to allow other people to enjoy that. I don't try to change them.
You're not pushing yourself on them. Your ideals.
No, and I think that it's okay to allow people to be who they are, and it's all about practicing awareness. I'm aware of the things that make my body feel good. I'm aware of the things that I enjoy. And sushi is not inexpensive. If I want to have an expensive meal, I want it to be something that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And gauges my senses of taste, smell,
a good pomodoro is awesome, isn't it? A good pomodoro cannot be beat, right?
Yeah, well, there's a restaurant I enjoy that is, the ladies are from Myanmar, and their food is delicious. And they do make sushi there, so sometimes that's a good compromise. But I think that we sort of have to observe what it is that brings us joy and not have any judgment in it, because sometimes we feel bad that we don't want to participate. And you may have a lot of individuals that are kind of like chiding you along. Come on. Do this, but it doesn't make you comfortable. And I think that
do what makes you comfortable and stick with that.
Yeah, and then you go out and you have way too many drinks, and then you say, I really shouldn't have drank all that wine, and I have a hangover.
Actually,
I
never say that.
I
never say that, but then again, I don't ever get a hangover, but that's because I don't completely and totally overdo it. There's a point where in my mind there's a level of awareness, and when some people drink for the sake of drinking, I drink because I quite very much enjoy different flavor combinations in my mouth. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because in wines from around the world, wherever we go, we're always either bringing some back if we can, or enjoying it while we're there. There's a lot of passion and love that goes into winemaking. I have a French friend.
Yeah, I agree.
Who makes wine, and his whole idea, his whole brand is about his life, which is love. Love is in everything, and it's in his life, it's in his family, it's in him, and it's in his wine. And so when I drink his wine, what I'm drinking is something that emanates from love, wholly and purely from love. And he was here. It was the most amazing conversation I would have with him about somebody who made a wine. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about this. It was about the love and the connection that came from what he did. And I think next year we're going to go stay with him for a couple of days. I think that would be a good idea. Soak up some more of that love. It's fun though. What can I say? It's an adventure, and one that you want to feel good about, and your body will let you know when what you're engaged in is not along the right path. So you can avoid those if I woulda, coulda, shouldas in many cases, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you and I are both enjoying Sarah Landon's book, and one of the things that the council said is there are no wrong choices, only different experiences. And I love that.
That is gorgeous.
It creates such an awareness for me that it's exactly that. You're experiencing your life and the things that you enjoy, and I have my own little corner of the world, and I think that that's what life is all about. Living from our soul, not our script. This is my life. This is how I choose to allow things to come in and embrace it and not judge anything.
everything we're saying too is alignment with completely and totally in alignment with sovereignty too. I mean, it's a word that I used to say 3 years ago, and nobody would, I didn't hear it. Now I hear it everywhere. I hear it from all the people who are being channeled, all the non-physical beings. It's sovereignty, and this is a time when in a relationship you have sovereignty. If you've lost your sovereignty within a relationship of any kind, could be a friendship, could be a romantic relationship, could be a work relationship. If you've lost your sovereignty, your ability to control your own mind, your body and spirit, and make decisions about, for yourself. And if you've lost the ability to maintain control of your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your actions and responses, if you've lost that, then you are out of your sovereignty. You don't have your sovereignty. You've given it away, and to whatever it is, and that doesn't feel good. I mean, it might be okay for a day or two or a week, but you're not going to like it. You're not going to like it at all, right? You're not going to like being there, doing that, right? You're not going to like it at all. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, if you're being true to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just life. That's going to happen, and so it makes sense to, if you really understand the concept of sovereignty, to be alert. I put sovereignty really in the forefront of my mind and ask myself the question sometimes: Is this a move a sovereign would make? Am I making these moves? Why am I making this move? Why am I doing this? Am I doing this for somebody else? Am I doing this for me? How does this make me feel? Is this something that brings me joy? Is it coming from love? Is this thing that's occurring, does it have its roots in love or discourse? Is it or in negativity versus positivity? You start asking yourself those questions, and you can really guide yourself in an effective way if you just listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to what your guides are telling you. There's all kinds of information coming your way.
And you know what, Michael? I'm so glad that sovereignty is becoming a household word, and that we're getting it from every angle, because it is so important. I think when we started the year, and I was actually revisiting one of the episodes we had at the beginning of the year, and that's exactly what we spoke about, how this year was the year of completion, and how Pam Gregory and so many people, it was about reclaiming your own personal sovereignty. And I think that when you do that, it allows you to live purposely and lets you operate your life from a state of passion, and you start to attract all those things that you want in your life for the greater good, not out of selfishness, but out of self-fullness. And I know that when I give away my power, I recognize it. I've gotten much better at sort of putting the brakes on. It's kind of like seeing an animal run in front of your car, and you're like, oh, I got to hit the brakes. I don't want to hit that animal. And I put the brakes on. I'm like, no, you know what this is? I'm giving away my power. And you reminded me of that. And instead, I'm shifting and saying, okay, love is my action word. Connection is my action word. I can embody those and still be a sovereign being. I can still be compassionate. I can still be kind. All of those things. But if I am not living true to who I am and what I came here to do, and embracing my own sovereignty, then I'm missing out. I'm missing out on what it was I came here to share with the world.
It's true.
And then
I agree.
And then I throw some gratitude in there. I'm grateful. Somebody asked me that, how are you doing? I said, busy and blessed. I'm busy and blessed, no matter what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're living an awesome existence. It's an awesome day. It's an awesome life. It's awesome because that's the way I create it. As a creator, I make it awesome. And all those little things that get in the way, they get filtered out I see them differently. I choose a positive perspective. That's just the thing that occurs. It's interesting because we live in a world where there are forces out there who want you to get riled up, to get involved, and stoke the fires of division and separation and judgment. There's a lot of judgment, and social media is ripe with it, right? So if you're a big social media person, as I'm not, there's a lot of that going on, and the algorithms, if you start liking things that are like that, you'll get tons more of it. So I would say there's a correlation between social media and just yourself living life, and that is you can choose to receive more of what you want. And just like you choose, if you choose not to like something that sows discord and negativity and separation and ugliness and anger and frustration, if you choose not to like that in your social media, the algorithm won't give you more of it. And in your life, you can do the same thing.
I know, right?
Yeah. It'll only give you
life,
if you say like to stuff, be careful. Be careful what you start liking, because you'll get more of it, right?
I know.
That's the whole idea. Mm-hmm. And for me, once you recognize that, you have an awareness of it. The jig is up. The emperor has no clothes. You look behind the curtain and find out that the witch is a robot. That's just mechanical. And so it's one of these things where sovereignty is about really discerning what you want to put into your mind and what you don't, and what you want to put into your body, what you don't, and the connection you want to have with something greater than yourself, or you don't. It's all it is. It's simple, right? And we have to start being more discerning about that. That's how your life gets better. Yeah, your life gets better when you start discerning, when you start understanding that and actually living from that. Your life is happier. It's more joyful. You're a kinder person. You're a more loving person to yourself, because you've got more. You can maintain that. You're in control of maintaining all that. People say, "Oh, that thing happened." No, that's like, it's outside of you. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you. Make that decision to be a sovereign. That's the decision you have to make, right?
Yep.
So,
and then be grateful.
And then be grateful. Yeah, and be grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Totally.
Forgive yourself when you mess up, because you will mess up. It happens to everyone.
I know. Oh yeah, I get it. I totally do.
No perfection. No perfection.
No, without a doubt. I'd sit there, and like Pam Gregory, I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news for a reason, because I want to feel good. And it's not that I don't have an awareness of what goes on, because I most certainly do. But I don't allow it to define me. And I also don't practice regret. I don't focus on what's missing from my life or what went wrong. I would rather focus on the abundance and the opportunities that exist. I had a tenant reach out to me on Sunday night at 9 o'clock, and they said, water's running. And so I went over to see what was going on, and I dealt with it as best I could at that moment in time, and then handled it in the morning. And was there money that I had to spend to get it resolved? Yeah. But you know what? It's okay. It's done. It's behind me. It's in the past. And I know that more abundance and opportunity will come my way. And I was grateful that I could get somebody in there as soon as I did to be able to rectify the problem. And I was so appreciative. There was a lot of things that sort of changed the beginning of my week, but I appreciated the blessings that I had and allowed that gratitude to kind of see me through. And
yeah, I agree.
I
think that's awesome. That's life, though. That's living your sovereignty every single day. You're making those choices. You are choosing you're choosing actions that are aligned with sovereignty. You're choosing the response. You're choosing the thoughts, the perceptions that are aligned with sovereignty, all those things align up. And when they do, the end result is that you feel good about yourself. You feel blessed. You feel bliss, so to speak, because in what you do, those things are going to occur. It's like you have to expect that that's going to happen, right? You expect that there's going to be times like that when you get a call. Not 9 o'clock, maybe it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, how you choose to deal with it. Now, if you go into that thinking, everything's going to be rosy and everything's going to be perfect, and then you get the call, your expectations are out of alignment with what you're involved in. Completely out of alignment with what you're involved in. And we want to be in alignment with love and kindness and all that. And we want to align our expectations up with what we're engaged in. And I know, hey, in my business I can get a call, something goes on. It's like, look, it's just a thing. We deal with it. Let's take one step, then the other step, then the next step, and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Don't invest a lot of energy into it. Don't invest a lot of negativity into it. Yet, if you're somebody who does that, it can be draining.
Yeah,
it can be draining on your life force, your energy. And as I think there was one of the chapters I was listening to in the last day or so in Sarah Landon's book, the Messages from the Council, I think is what it's called. Is that what it is? It's Messages from the Council.
Wisdom of the Council.
Wisdom of the Council. Wisdom of the Council. Sarah Landon, London, Sara, Sarah Landon. Wisdom of the Council. I got to say that, as with anything, not everything is going to resonate with you, but the things that you're meant to hear at this time, and at the wherever level of awareness you are and consciousness, you will hear those things now, because because they're right for you now. And as you said, you're going to go back and listen to the book. Heck, I've already gone back and listened to a couple of chapters, and and picked up on some other things, right? Great book. I think I like the audiobook. I like to listen to Sarah talk, because if I had the book, I'd have a yellow marker and I'd be like marking things,
This is allowing you to be present. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I'm marking stuff, right? But the book allows me to be present. I can be doing what I'm doing and just listen to it. And I can go back 30 seconds or 30. I can go back and listen to that thing 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10 times, and go, that's incredibly profound. My gosh, I want to hear that again. I can do that. So, listen, I know that this conversation, we could go on and on about this. I'm going to take this moment to thank our PRN FM listeners and those people who do listen to us on our podcast. As a result, when we turn the show into a podcast, I am so appreciative, and I know you are too. I'm grateful that anyone takes the opportunity to listen to an hour of what we put out, what we say, what we share. Because it is completely unscripted, and we both figured out that most of it is channeled anyway, because we're gifted, and it's like Sarah Landon says, you're sitting there, and you don't understand where it's coming from, but it's coming about cohesively. Yeah, it's channeled. That's it. And it sounds really good. It's it fits the moment. I know I've got several lifetimes in my head just in the last 6.5 decades plus. So we're sharing our lives with our listeners, and we hope you appreciate it, because we love doing it. We love doing it.
I couldn't think of a better way to share an hour with anybody, Michael, other than you. It just is. It's so wonderful, and I think that as we sort of reflect on the should have, could have, we could have talked about lots of different things, but at the time, both you and I do the best that we can with what we know, and that's what we share, and we choose to share from our hearts and come from a place of love. So I so appreciate you being with me, Michael, and for our audience, and I would ask that if this conversation stirs something in you, please share it with somebody else, and know that you're not alone, that we all have said that. We all have said should have, could have, would have, and instead, choose to be present, be kind to yourself, be loving, and you can never go wrong when you choose love and connect with somebody else and share that love. So thank you. So true.
Let go of the past and move forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And
appreciate it.
Until next time. Peace out. Thank you. Love you.